Yesterday, a child came out to wander, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the pains of ponies go up and down. We're captive.
With all the talk the past few months about the cutbacks in healthcare, it's got me thinking, why do we have to make things so difficult? What if this country joined the modern world and provided health care for everyone? Stop making it appear as if it were a luxury item rather than a necessity that everyone needs. We like to make it as if this country is so superior to any country in the world, yet we can't provide health care to people. Think about it. If we were to provide health care to everyone, it would eliminate so many issues. How much time is spent jumping through hoops trying to get any medical needs met? Being faced with the decision of whether to provide food on the table or pay for medication. How many small businesses struggle to provide health insurance for their employees? Every day, we're faced with a bombardment of commercials, especially this time of year. Between the commercials for numerous medications, to sign up for Medicare supplemental insurance, why do we need all this wasted commercials? Seriously, why do we need to sit through commercials telling us which medication we should be taking? Shouldn't this be the job of our doctors? It is estimated that in healthcare and pharmaceutical companies were projected to spend over $30 billion on marketing in 2024. What is the purpose of this obscene amount of money being spent to convince us to go with their medication or their healthcare insurance? What if this money was actually put towards providing healthcare for all? And what about the money that's spent for lobbying? According to OpenSecrets.org, pharmaceutical and health products spent over $391 million in 2024. So far this year, they spent over $341 million. Insurance companies spent over $155 million in 2024. And this year, so far, they've spent over $130 million. So with all this money spent on lobbying, whose interests are they most likely to look after? In 2023, big drug companies took in $684 billion. This is higher than the GDP of 88% of the countries in the world. In 2024, the 7 largest publicly traded health insurance companies made a combined profit of over $71.3 billion. Pharmaceutical company CEOs' total compensation for top executives exceeded $20 million in salary, bonuses, and stock awards. In 2022, 7 health insurance CEOs raked in $283 million. Like pharmaceutical companies, many exceeded over $20 million a year. Robert M. Davis of Merck made over $20 million primarily in stock and option awards. Albert Bourla of Pfizer over $21 million. Reshma Kewalramani of Vertex Pharmaceuticals made over $20 million, including stock awards and incentives. Christopher Verbacher of Biogen received approximately $24.2 million, a significant increase from the previous year. And Jacqueline Duda of Johnson & Johnson made over $28 million in 2023. The question I always have is, how do you justify salaries at that high of a range? What do they do to earn such outrageous salaries while others can barely scrimp by day to day? If I could travel forward in time, let's say about 100 years from now, and I was to look back at where we were in 2025 when it comes to healthcare, what would I think? For being such an advanced society, why did we practice such primitive methods of healthcare? It's almost a Darwinian approach, survival of the fittest. I would wonder why we made the well-being, or lack thereof, a profit-making business. What is so wrong with making businesses related to healthcare a non-profit? Profit off the health, or in many cases, the denial of healthcare for people, seems to me to be ludicrous, and as I said, almost primitive. There's an article from spring 2017 in the Stanford Medicine magazine that speaks about how the insurance industry shifted from protecting patients to seeking profit. It starts out telling the story of how Blue Cross was founded in Texas nearly 100 years ago with the intention of helping the sick. At the time, they were a nonprofit company. In the late 1940s, they partnered with Blue Shield. Blue Cross would cover hospital care, while Blue Shield covered doctors' visits. Between 1940 and 1955, Americans with health insurance went from 10% to over 60%. They charged all the members the same rate, no matter how old or how sick. The demand grew, and this is when the for-profit insurance companies moved in. The difference was they only accepted younger, healthier patients on whom they could make a profit. They charged different rates depending on factors like age. They also provided different types of policies for different amounts of money, which resulted in different levels of protection. Aetna and Cigna were both offering major medical coverage by 1951. Both of these companies were aggressive in their marketing and built close ties to business. In forming these relationships and moving further away from healthcare, they slowly gained market share through the 1970s and 80s. This put the squeeze to Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and by the 1990s, they were losing money covering the sickest patients in all 50 states. With the added pressure, in 1994, the Blues board relented and allowed member plans to become for-profit insurers. The idea being was to gain some quick cash from the stock market to offset deficits. Remember, they accepted anyone. Aetna and Cigna were more exclusive. Prior to going for-profit, the Blues spent about 95 cents out of every dollar of premiums on medical care. Medicare today uses 98% or 98 cents for every dollar of its funding for healthcare and only 2% for administration. During the passage of the ACA, for-profit insurance companies fought tooth and nail to not require insurance companies to spend 80 to 85% of premiums on patient care. You may think that's pretty good, but once again, remember in the 1990s, prior to Blue Cross going for profit, they spent 95%, and Medicare today spends 98%. Oftentimes I hear that the old story is, well, these companies, particularly these pharmaceutical companies, spend so much on research. But they never seem to talk about the research that's done at NIH, which turns into profit-driven patents by private companies. We often hear how much the private sector spends on research, and that is why we pay so much. But according to the Digest, a monthly periodical that summarizes research topics related to public interest, it's estimated that NIH funding increases total private sector patent actively. It breaks down to an additional $10 million in NIH funding generates 3.1 additional private sector patents in the same research areas. Another point they bring up is that for every dollar of NIH funding leads to between 70 cents and $2.13 in lifetime pharmaceutical sales. When do we get to the point where enough is enough? The old argument to defend our current system is the fear of socialized medicine. Listen to Ronald Reagan and what he said back in 1961.
But at the moment, I'd like to talk about another way, because this threat is with us and at the moment is more imminent. One of the traditional methods of imposing statism or socialism on a people has been by way of medicine. It's very easy to disguise a medical program as a humanitarian project. Most people are a little reluctant to oppose anything that suggests medical care for people who possibly can't afford it. Now, the American people, if you put it to them about socialized medicine and gave them a chance to choose, would unhesitatingly vote against it. We had an example of this under the Truman administration. It was proposed that we have a compulsory health insurance program for all people in the United States, and of course the American people unhesitatingly rejected this.
Way back then in 1961 and up till today, it's the same old script where beware the big boogeyman, socialized medicine. It's as if we provide health care for all, we're heading down a slippery slope towards socialism. Just do a search online and you'll find numerous videos attempting to scare people away from considering universal health care. You always hear about how countries that offer universal health care take forever to get an appointment scheduled. My question to you is, have you attempted to schedule an appointment only to find you're going to have to wait months before you can get in? Once you arrive for your appointment, how much time do you spend in the waiting room? If you need to make changes to anything related to your health insurance, how much time do you spend on the phone trying to get through to a human? Once you get through, how many hoops do you have to go through? Or does the person you're talking to have no or little knowledge as to what you need to do? Healthcare in its current form kind of reminds me of owning a very old car. You're driving down the road and your front bumper falls off. So you pull over and throw it in your trunk. When you get home, you duct tape the bumper back on. You then discover you have bald tires and one of them has a nail in it. So you plug the hole and continue on your way. It starts to rain and you find your wipers aren't working, so you reach out your arm out of the window and wipe off your windshield. Because of an electrical problem, your power windows aren't working, so you have to forcefully open your window to even get your arm out to wipe off the rain. It's getting dark and you realize one of your headlights are out. You also notice that your car is overheating because you have a leaky radiator. You pour a bottle of stop leak into the radio. People tell you maybe it's time to get a new car, at least a newer used car. You deny there is a problem with your car and continue on your way. The heaters on your car is temperamental and it will work sometimes, from time to time, or it'll just come on in the middle of the summer in a heat wave. And you still deny that there's not really a problem. You know, our healthcare system is a little bit like that old car. We've tried to patch it together, we tried different methods, and still it doesn't work. The only ones that it really works for is those that have a vested interest in keeping the system the same. So the question is, how long will we continue to support a health system that really doesn't work for anyone except for health insurance companies, biotech companies, and pharmaceuticals? What do we really have to lose? How long will you support the propaganda of these companies and those that support them? The question to ask yourself is, do you consider healthcare a right or a privilege? Should we make healthcare a profit-driven business? We can't afford it. What if we spent less money on defense spending? The U.S. spends more on defense than the next 9 countries combined. In 2024, the U.S. spent $997 billion on defense. What if we took some of the money that we spent on defense and applied it to healthcare? And what if we finally made corporations in the top 1% pay their fair portion of taxes? We can continue to drive this old car down the road, but at some point it's going to stop running. We will be left out on the dark road in the rain, and no way to get back, and no way to not get soaked. I think we're already getting soaked.